Daredevil. Season's over with, and it was good. It wasn't as action packed as I wanted it to be, but it was good. Matt Murdock has to go to court in order to save Paige. He has to go to court, and he puts the Kingpin on trial. And he hints to the Kingpin that he's going to give up secrets that only Daredevil should know. So the Kingpin responds to him because he doesn't think he's going to do it. He's like, you sure you want to go down this road? And he's the man without fear for a reason. So of course, he wants to go down that road. He's like, let's do it. Come at me, bro. So he's like, yeah. So he starts drilling the Kingpin, and the Kingpin starts responding. He gives this little soliloquy about when he was growing up. The Kingpin does, about when he was growing up. His father taught him that when you come across a bully, you knuckle up to the biggest one. People always say that. And I mean, you know, you go to prison, man, you gotta pick the biggest dude on the yard and drop him. If it was that easy, everybody in prison would have knocked that dude out. He's unknockoutable because he's the biggest dude. You walk over there, and he's probably got 20 dudes with him. You walk over there, you are going to find yourself in an awkward situation. Same thing with this. If you're from off the corner, if you're from in the hood, if you're in the barrio, wherever you're at, whatever neighborhood you live in, you know, if you've got a Giga Chad, whatever neighborhood you're living in, the biggest, baddest dude is the biggest, baddest dude for a reason. And if you're just going to walk up to him and punch him in the face, I mean, you're going to take a beating. What, I don't understand. I've never understood that. I've never understood, oh, hit the biggest guy. That's somebody trying to get you unalived. When you go to prison, don't get a shank. Use a bar of soap and just bonk him in the head. Just bonk him. They'll leave you alone. It's a hidden thing. No one knows. That's a setup. Go punch the biggest guy you can find. That's a setup. I don't know why somebody would do that. That's a setup. But he says that that's what his father told him to do. And we know that his father didn't like him, so maybe his father did tell him to do that ridiculous thing. But then he's like, you know, but I found in my time that no one is bigger than the courts. So he's trying to give praise to the courts. And it was like that popular music guy that recently went to court for all of that baby oil and stuff and told the judge he was doing a great job. You know, you're trying to suck up to the judge a little bit so you can hope that they'll be lenient on you, but also wink, wink, you're winking at them, telling them you know that they're in your pocket, but they're probably not because you don't understand the situation. He couldn't read the room. So that happens with Kingpin. Kingpin says, you know, no one's bigger than this court. And they're like, is that fool talking to us? Murdock presses him. Murdock's like, was Daredevil there? Kingpin's like, yeah. Do you consider me a hero? Remember, I saved your life. Daredevil's like, yeah, you were there. And he's lining these things up. So the court's like, oh, so Matt Murdock is a good guy and Daredevil was on the boat. How are these two things connected? And then he turns around all Tony Stark, and instead of saying, I am Iron Man, he's like, I am Daredevil. the man without fear. And they're like, you ain't Daredevil. So he does his nightstick trick where he throws it and bounces around the room and he catches it. It's like, I was just faking being blind. He's actually blind, but he has a radar sense that allows him to see, mentally see better than someone with eyes. So they're like, he really is Daredevil. Now in the comics, one time when he got outed, Iron Fist put on the uniform and he patrolled Hell's Kitchen and he took care of Hell's Kitchen. They're like, oh, Daredevil was still around, so Matt Murdock can't possibly be Daredevil. But I think they're going with a different storyline. Daredevil is going to end up in prison. And I'm not 100% sure how to go, because he's shown the world that he's Daredevil. They're going to have to make that seem like AI or something. They're going to have to do something. But there were people in the court that actually seen it. I don't know what he's going to do, because he showed them his ability. So even if somebody later pretends to be him, they're just going to say there's two Daredevils. And he's going to prison with some adversaries that are going to want to take him down. So he's going to have to display his abilities again. When he does it, one of the cops, the leading villainous cop, is like a blind lawyer who can fight. And he makes a callback. Daredevil outs himself. So they release Karen Page, because clearly Daredevil was there. Clearly Matt Murdock is a good guy. If they're the same person, that's evidence that something felonious was happening. Then they have a videotape of the second in command on the ship. And he admits everything. Yeah, we were running guns, man. And we were doing it for someone that they called the Kingpin. But we all knew it was the mayor. You gotta have long money and deep pockets and long reach, political reach, in order to let something like this come in without it being checked. We knew it was the mayor. Everybody knew it was the mayor. So they're like, oh, it was the mayor. There's more evidence, but it piles up against the Kingpin. And they let her go. And Kingpin's like, look, don't let them leave this building. Give them the finger across the throat. So they leave. His patrolmen leave and they get out there and they're like, we're going to do it, man. They try to leave this building. They're going to have an accident. But the people of the city have united because they've had enough of the Kingpin. Wilson Fisk, they've come there to give him his comeuppance. And there are hundreds of people in the street, maybe thousands, but a lot of New Yorkers show up and they're wearing these makeshift Daredevil masks, all Me Too-ish. They're putting these things on their head and they're coming there and they're like, we're going to get the Kingpin and give him some street justice. So Kingpin knows better. He's not leaving the building. But he put the word out to put an annex on Matt Murdock and his company, so his friends, so they can't leave the building either. So they're all stuck in the building. Jessica Jones is there. And so is the new White Tiger. She's there. And she finally displays her abilities. She's got superpowers. She's like a low-tier Spider-Man, sort of, in her power range. And take Spider-Man's abilities and drop them down. She's something like that. So they've got to fight their way out, and Kingpin has to keep the crowd out. And the AG calls. It's like, look, man, in order to get you out of that position, we got to file paperwork, we got to do this, we got to do that. You're clearly a criminal, but we've got to force you out. We're going to just let you leave the office and leave the country if you just walk out of the office now. That's an incredible deal because he's connected to murders and all kinds of stuff. And he's like, no, I won't leave New York. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, they got you. They got you. Were you going to go home and just wait a couple days for the police to show up? You know, when they've got enough evidence to actually arrest you proper? Why would you do that? Just leave. Transfer your money to an offshore account like you guys do. I mean, who has offshore accounts? Anybody who has offshore accounts, the government should be looking into them, because they're like, why you got that? What you doing? What's going on? It's in all of the movies, you know. It's like if you go to Walmart and the dude that's in front of you is buying duct tape, lime, a body bag, a shovel, a night light, you'd probably be like, he's not baking a cake. You would have suspicions. But he should send it to his offshore accounts and just leave. But he's like, nope, I'm not going to do it. Nope. And he's like, I'm just going to leave. And he walks out and the crowd is there. So when he opens the door, I was unprepared for it. I figured he would open the door and try to give a speech. He slammed the door open and went, boo. And I'm like, boo? Boo? And the first guy was like, did that dude just say boo? He just looked like, oh my God. And the Kingpin starts giving these guys the business. He is working them. I mean, he picks one dude up and slams him and breaks his back against the corner of a wall. He crushes somebody's head and his skull. You got to remember, depending on which particular iteration you're reading, the Kingpin is just peak human. Just peak human. In other words, for his size and mass, he is as strong and as fast as he could possibly be without becoming superhuman. So technically, he's on a level with Batman, but with more than twice the mass and strength. So think about a guy that's an Olympic level weightlifter, or one of those dudes that's in a strongman contest and he's pulling a truck. Kingpin is in that level of strength. So if one of those guys picked you up and just threw you in the air, you are going to get air. So he's just crushing people's skulls and punching people, and his blood is splattering. It was good. It was a good hallway fight. I dig a hallway fight. This was a good hallway fight because he's running through them. And after a few, if you've ever seen the movie Old Boy is going down the hallway, and 24 men are walking towards him. And at first, they're like, yeah, what you gonna do? And after a couple of seconds of him beating on them, they start backing up because they realize they didn't understand the situation they was in. This reminded me of Old Boy, because at first they was just running in on him and he was just smacking them and smacking them and uppercutting them and slamming them and breaking them in half. And after a couple of seconds, they was like, uh-oh, and they start backing up because they don't want that business, And every once in a while, one of them would run up on him, and he would boink. He'd give him a boink. So it was a good hallway fight. And you know that Murdoch and the White Tiger and Jessica Jones are moving through the hallway. You know the Kingpin is moving through the hallway. And you just assume automatically they're going to run into each other. Kingpin makes it downstairs, and he's like, he couldn't really run into them because Jessica Jones has superhuman strength, and she should be able to drop him with one punch, maybe two or three, but he's not getting past Jessica Jones. So he makes it to like this big opening, like the opening of the building. So there's hundreds of people down there, and he's screaming at them, and he's telling them, I was doing this for you, man, and you turned on me. Why wouldn't you guys just let me be a criminal? I thought I was making it better. He wasn't making it better for himself. He was using his political position to enrich himself. So they start attacking him. They're like, nah, not today. And they start attacking him. Now Daredevil and his group are there. And Kingpin at first is beating these people up. But he's not superhuman. He's peak human. There's a big difference. Captain America is peak human, but he's peak human for any human. He is as strong and as fast as any human can be. Not as strong and as fast as one particular human. If you weigh 175 pounds and you become peak, you're as strong as a 175 pound man can be. If you're a 400 pound man and you're peak, you are as strong as a 400 pound man could be, which would make you stronger than that other guy. Someone like Captain America is peak human, period. He is as strong as any human can ever be without becoming superhuman. So he is peak for himself. He's as strong and as fast as he can possibly be. So the first 10 people, he gives them a whack. But they just keep coming. And eventually, you don't even see the Kingpin. You just see the people and see them throwing punches and kicks. It wouldn't take long for him to succumb to that type of violence. But Daredevil makes his way in because Daredevil does not often cross the line between justice and vengeance. He does. Don't get me wrong, he does. Just like they say, oh, Batman never uses a gun. He does. It's just extraordinarily rare. Daredevil doesn't normally cross the line between justice and vengeance. He will, but on this particular time, he doesn't. So he saves the Kingpin and he convinces him, dude, just give up. You can leave. They made a deal for you. Just leave. Take your money and go. And he does. He does. He leaves. And Daredevil now has to face the consequences because people know that Daredevil and Matt Murdock are the same person. And Daredevil, even though he was doing a good thing, technically, that dude was breaking laws left as well as right. He was punching people, he was kicking people, he was strangling people. He tried to unalive Bullseye, which is attempted murder. That's one of the big ones. That is one of the big ones. Breaking and entering. You can't go around in red boots, kung fu kicking people in the face. That's illegal. So he did a lot of stuff. He was stealing cars. I mean, he did all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. And fighting with police officers, he's punched a lot of police officers in the face. So he has a large amount of charges that he's got to deal with. So that fool's going to jail. Well, actually, at the end, that fool goes to jail. But Luke Cage was working for Mr. Charles in another country, possibly an Asian country, possibly Mandrapore, which would open some doors. But he was looking at an Asian map, an Asian book. But Luke could have been somewhere else. Because of Luke's melanation in his skin, he could have been operating in Wakanda or somewhere near there. He could have been operating in Latveria or somewhere near there. But since he was reading a book about Asia, I assumed that Luke was in Mandrapore. It's possible. But there's a lot of locations that he could have been in doing things. And those things, they release him because Mr. Charles has a new agent, which is Bullseye. Bullseye just keeps getting out of stuff, man. So Bullseye is there now. And Bullseye doesn't really have a problem with killing people. So whatever it is that Luke was unwilling to do, Bullseye's going to do that stuff. So they've got him. So I'm thinking if Mr. Charles has got to an agent, possibly a team, and he works for the Countess, who definitely has a team, they could pull Matt out and he could become part of one of those teams, do some work and make atonement, and then go back to Hell's Kitchen. It's possible. This was a good episode. It closed well. I enjoyed it, and I would give Daredevil Born Again Season 2, you're probably not going to like this, 9 bags of popcorn. 9 bags of popcorn. Because that's what I think about that. More importantly, what do you think about that? Now that you've seen the video, let's talk about it some more in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.